Welcome to the Building Newfoundland and Labrador podcast, dedicated to exploring the interesting journeys of the people in the provincial construction industry. Presented by the Newfoundland and Labrador Construction Association, produced by Gale Force Winds. Join us as we chat with the inspirational individuals that ensure the continued growth of the construction industry and the province of Newfoundland and Labrador.
Well, here we are at the Newfoundland and Labrador Construction Association podcast, day number 1, Women in Construction. And this is going to be an exciting day. We're going to talk to women that are in this industry in hopes that we are going to inspire other people that this is an industry for them. Liz, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you. So my name is Liz Palmera-Nunez. I am the manager of transmission and distribution engineering with Newfoundland Power, which is one of the utility companies here in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. So in this role, I successfully manage the design and construction of multi-million-dollar transmission line projects, which deliver high electricity along long distances. I'm also responsible for the company's transmission and distribution standards, which provide guidance, construction guidance for safe and reliable construction of electrical infrastructure for customers, industrial, commercial, and residential. And I'm also responsible for the company's asset management, which entails the development of processes and practices and procedures around how Newfoundland Power invests on its assets. So
wow.
It's a lot.
You know what? I'm not intimidated at all, because all I do is just turn on the lights in the morning. What about you, Alan?
Well, yeah, so Liz, that was an incredible lead up to what it is that you do. It sounds to me like if you don't go to work, the lights don't come on.
I like to think that, but we have a great team, at Newfoundland Power, that we all support each other, and we always work the best for our customers.
So Liz, let's dive into the team in a moment, because I'm excited to hear about that team. What was your journey to get to that role? Because that is a very impressive role that you just described. So what was your journey to get there?
Oh my goodness. So to be honest, I have a unique perspective when it comes to leadership. To be honest with you, I came here as a refugee. So within 5 years, I graduated. I managed to graduate from Memorial with a Bachelor of Electrical Engineering.
From where, Liz?
From Colombia. So I understand the struggles that women, or even men too, who are coming to this country with not knowing the language, the economical barriers, feeling here that you guys we are more of a minority group, underrepresented group. I get that, I can empathize with that, right? Yeah. So my journey starts there, and then once I graduated, I focused on the electrical utility industry, because that's where my interest lay at the time, and it took me all the way to BC, where I work at BC Hydro, to the West Coast, or the East Coast, sorry, to PEI, where I work for Maritime Electric, and now my current home in St. John's, where I work with Newfoundland Power, as I said. So my utility industry has, prepared me, or taught me how to work in the transmission, distribution, and generation areas.
You did your degree at Memorial?
Yes, I did.
And then you've kind of come back home, have you?
Yes, home. Yeah, it happened that I married someone from here, and everybody has to make it home, right? At some point in their lives.
So I want to go back a few steps there, because that's a fascinating journey. So why did you choose Newfoundland right out of the gate to come?
Well, that's interesting. So I came here with my mom and my siblings, and at the time, to be honest, back in, I want to say early 2000s, my mom was looking for a peaceful way of living. And we were actually, when we got to the airport, we didn't know where we were coming. And my mom was asked, do you want to go? We have opportunities for your family to be located or relocated in Alberta or Newfoundland. And to be honest, for her, it was about her family and her kids' priorities. So she said, can you get me to a place where I feel safe and my kids can go to university and have a successful life? And the person that helped us through that journey in Toronto Airport said, I think the best way for you to go is to go to Newfoundland. And I remember at the time we took that plane, and I said to my mom, there's a lot of water out there. And when we landed here is when we realized we were in an island. And since that moment, we love this place. My family I moved because of work, but my mom is here, my siblings here. This is home for us, right? And we love it, and we love the people, we love the culture. There's nothing negative that I could say.
Well, I sure am glad that, I don't know if it was a customs officer, an immigration officer, pitched Newfoundland to your mom at the time. That's fantastic, because we're so very lucky to have you here in the province with us. So tell us a little bit about that journey across Canada. So you get your electrical engineering degree, and that's great. That's good theoretical knowledge for what you're doing now. But then you've got to get some real experience. So BC Hydro gets in the mix. Everybody gets in the mix. Tell me about your journey and what you picked up in each place.
Well, since I graduated, I felt that I wanted to be a leader from the get-go. I just didn't know how to get there. So through the years, I have my book here to share with you. I call it my roadmap, and have documented, discussions I have had with successful people on how it has worked for them, and I have also documented their failure, because I believe that you need to learn from other people's mistakes, and it provides you a different perspective on life, I would say, and in the work life as well. So I have also attended, conferences. I had private discussions with people. I normally listen to podcasts, read books. I always try to make my growth intentionally, and I try to document. When I have a wow moment, I record it, because I don't want that thought to be forgotten.
So is it like a diary, or is it a plan and a diary?
It's everything at this point.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm aiming for in documenting here, but I'm documenting my journey. Right. So if you want, I can
open up this book. I'm excited.
Just to share a couple of things that I have.
Sure.
And to be honest, I'm very forward on trying to bring the next generation into the discussion, especially on the women's side of things, because I do believe in EDI. Equity, diversity, and inclusion, that we should be pushing these concepts forward. So anyway, I mentor a lot of women and men, of course, and I try to share my thoughts on leadership, so they don't have a higher mountain to climb. That is my purpose here.
What a beautiful way to say that. Beautiful way.
So anyway, I just walk you through a couple of things. Like, for example, I tell them, ask questions. Put yourself out there. There's not really such a thing as a stupid question. You are learning as you go, and there's no way you will know it all, right? So you just put yourself out there. As I said, you don't have to put yourself in a position where you now have a higher mountain to climb. Make yourself, and people understand. People are willing to share, right? We all do. Right. So that's just one point there. The other one is every day grow personally. And I'm not talking about the technical perspective. I do learn about transmission, distribution, standards, ESA, you name it. I get that. I make that intentionally too. But this is more about my growth as a leader, right? So make that commitment. And we all have a life. I get that. I'm a mother. I have 3 kids, believe it or not. But I make myself available to learn a little bit. Like, even on my drive to work, I put a podcast about, can I lead everybody, and learn a couple of tips there. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Try to make yourself available for that, right? But you have to make the commitment, because, over time you'll see the results. It's not only one day or a week. I have been doing this for years, and I think I have not mastered it, but I'm getting there. I have worked for 10 plus years, well, almost hitting 15 years. And I successfully have progressed in my career. Like, I started as an engineer, team lead, then supervisor, and now manager. And I see that my career will progress in the future. That's how I see it. But again, it's a commitment, right? The next one is about, develop your personal definition for success. Because I made the mistake at the beginning to tie success to goals, right? I said at the beginning, when I become a manager, I will be successful. And I'm a manager now, and I don't think I feel success.
No.
So I made that mistake, right? And I share that to people. Don't tie it to that, because goals, you're going to go through life achieving goals. And that's a good thing, don't take me wrong. But what the definition of success should be around, it's, knowing your purpose in life, growing to your highest potential, and sowing seeds. And this is why I also, put time into other people so they become leaders. Because leaders, there are some people that are born with some qualities for a leader and some people that can be taught to be leaders. So that's what I'm trying to focus the next generation that's after me to make a better path, an easier path for them. And this is just a couple of things that I wanted to share with you. No, I don't want to.
Okay, so all of those things that you just described are simply beautiful. I mean, so let's talk about them one by one. The first part about being open and asking questions, and Jerry and I often refer to that as being vulnerable.
Yeah.
If you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you'll be surprised at who is so willing to help you. Tell me about vulnerability, how that plays into your professional journey.
Well, I call that more on the humble side of things. I tell all my short-term students or whoever I mentor, I said, you need three things. You need to be humble, you need to be hungry for the work, you need to be at it because you still need to deliver on things, and you need to be humble, hungry, and smart or clever. You still need to deliver on those stuff, right? Because I'm targeting the soft skill side of things, the emotional intelligence side of things, but you still need to deliver on your work. You need to be capable of that. So that's how I see it. And I learned that when I started at BC Hydro. I was an engineering trainee. And the funny thing is, like, when you start, you think like, oh, I cannot say that I don't know it. But to be honest, the people on the other side, they know you don't know anything. So the sooner you get to that point,
right,
the better it is for you.
Yeah. Liz, you talk about soft skills, and that's a term that people use often, hard skills, soft skills. I refer to them as permanent skills and perishable skills, and I kind of flip them on their head a little bit, because I think the permanent skills are those ability to communicate, that ability to show some vulnerability, that ability to work effectively within teams. Those are very permanent skills, whereas the perishable skills are the technical skills that you would have learned as an electrical engineer. So I use them as permanent and perishable skills when I describe them. I also want to talk to you a little bit about your absolute desire for continuous improvement. And I'm sure that probably comes from your engineering training, studying Dr. Deming continuous improvement cycle, but it seems to be a little deeper ingrained in you. Tell me a little bit about your desire for continuous improvement.
I mean, you can only get better, right? And what I try to do every year, I pick a word and I say, well, what am I going to be focusing on next year? What area is it the one that I need to improve upon? I mean, I'm not perfect, and there are so many insecurities. That's an area that, women, I feel, we struggle the most. It's like, are you really ready? Do you really know enough? Like, even being here with you guys, how many thoughts went through my mind? It's like, I don't think I will be able to share any of that. I don't think I'm mature enough to come up and, tell you my journey. So many things, and I had to shut down that side of my brain and say, no, I can do it, and I have to push myself to get there. Right? So the continual learning, it's putting myself there. I pick every year a bit of a focus. To be honest, this year is public speaking for me, because it's not an area that I'm good at, and I have take every opportunity available that presents to me, and say, you know what, I can. And I'm nervous, and I think a lot before it happens, and even after it happens. But if I don't look for those opportunities, there's no way to improve. Right?
Well, you're an eloquent speaker, and English is not your first language.
No, and that's another barrier. I think about that a lot. Would people understand what I'm saying? I really self-doubt a lot. But I need to put myself out there, and I really need to make the effort.
Alan, you know what I love about the question you just asked, and in particular your response, is you have self-doubt. The challenge, I think, with a lot of people is they think they're the only ones with self-doubt. Thank you for coming on here and being authentic enough to tell us that. Really important, isn't it?
Well, 100%, Jerry. I mean, Liz, you're holding a very important position here in the province of Newfoundland, and I'm certain that there will be young men and women in an engineering program somewhere in Canada that are going to watch this and say, oh my God, I can do this, right? They're doubting themselves right now in the moment. And it's that type of conversation that lifts everybody up. So you talk about planting seeds. Well, that's exactly what we want to do here today, is plant seeds and give people the strength to kind of to move forward. And you are indeed inspiring them. So here you are now in Newfoundland Power. You're a member of the Newfoundland and Labrador Construction Association. Talk to me a little bit about membership with these guys.
As I said, I manage a successful diverse team, and with that, we have to execute and deliver on these big transmission line construction projects, and that's where we benefit from being part of the Newfoundland and Labrador Construction Association. I mean, these guys have done a great work at the advocacy piece, the education and professional training. Those courses they offer are amazing, and also the networking, and that's one of my favorite parts. The networking piece, because you get to talk to people that are in the construction industry that are like you, and that they are facing the same challenges and opportunities within this province, right? So stuff like that, I do find great value on being part of this group, and I'm actually excited to be part of being here today and be part of the Women in Construction Forum, and I'm looking forward to hearing these successful women share their story about their leadership journey.
There's nothing better than networking, and understanding what people are doing. And I find that when I get into those conversations, I go home at night or go up to my hotel room and I think, I had no idea they were doing this. And you kind of find the points where you can collaborate and work together. And that's what an association like this really brings to the table, bringing everybody into the conversation. So tell me, how many people are on your team?
So I have 6 teams that directly report to me, and I have a great team. I love them all.
Tell me about them.
Oh my goodness. So I have, it consists of a group of engineers and technologists, and they have, electrical, civil backgrounds mainly. And I have construction supervisors, I have designers, project leads. On the asset management, I have team leads. Anyway, it's all over the place because, as I mentioned, I manage 3 kind of umbrellas: the standards piece, the construction piece, and then the asset management piece. So I don't know if I describe it well.
That's perfect.
Perfect. Yeah. Now that's great, and you're only as strong as your team, right?
Yes.
As a leader, and you clearly are a solid leader. There's no doubt about that. But you're only as strong as your team. So the more you empower them and encourage them, it seems to me like you're the type of leader that you're training them, your team members, to take over your job constantly.
Well, if you don't do that, I don't think you could be a successful leader. They need to execute on things even when I'm gone. Right? That's the main goal. And I always believe that, you won't, I cannot replace you. I cannot promote you if I cannot replace you. So I need to develop my teammates to work towards that, right? And I offer a number of opportunities for them to be involved in what I do, because I see that as a proper succession planning.
Right. So today is a special day, Women in Construction, featuring the opportunities and stuff that might exist in that industry. Tell me about the opportunities that exist for women right now.
Oh my goodness. In which way? In which particular way?
Well, let's talk about your own field. Let's talk about in electrical engineering. Let's focus on engineering and maybe in power distribution and the things. Are there plenty of opportunities there for women?
Yes, I mean, I find, especially right now in this environment there are lots of jobs out there. We are seeing it not only in the utility, electrical utility industry, but in other industries. The baby boomers are kind of retiring, and we've seen a huge demand on this knowledge. And we are not seeing people coming through, right? And I think there will be a bit of a gap there that we're going to be facing. It's going to be very challenging in the upcoming years, but the opportunities, I believe, are there, and it all depends on what you want to follow. I find there are tons of opportunities, but I always tell my mentees, what is it that fulfills you in life? Because you are going to be spending more time at work than at home, so you better pick something that you really like to do. and then focus. And if the opportunity is not even available right now, wait for it. But the thing is that you have to prepare yourself for it, right? It's not like waiting until it happens. Like you need to make yourself the best candidate for that position when it comes to be available, right? So like, to me, luck doesn't really work. Luck is when opportunity meets preparation. That's what it comes to,
Okay.
right?
Liz, I'd like to take you back a few years, if I could.
Good.
And there you are at the Munn bookstore, picking up a book, maybe math, maybe thermofluid dynamics or something. You're heading into your first engineering class. If I could bring you back to that moment in time, what would you tell that person right now?
Oh my goodness.
From your perspective, what would you tell Liz right now?
It can be done. At the time, I doubted myself. I didn't know if I could do it. That first year, that first step, I struggled so much. I'm going to be honest with you, financially. Like I couldn't get a book, so I had to say myself, this is only the beginning. It only gets better from there, right? So that piece, and I always motivate everybody. It can be done, and I'm a proof of it. It's challenging. You're going to run through obstacles and challenge, but you will oversee that, or overpass that, or overcome all those.
Right.
And you will feel so much better, and it can be done. So that's my message. If I have to go back and say, it can be done.
Jerry, your thoughts?
Well, Liz, we had a little chat yesterday. I am so happy that you decided to come on here today. You are the first person that we are interviewing, and this is the Women in Construction with a theme of We're Better Together. What you have just articulated incredibly well,
Oh my goodness.
is in your second language, is really, really empowering me. And I think you are going to empower a lot of young women that watch this video. So I just want to say thank you for being the first person to come here today. Thank you for what you do. And thank you for bringing that book. I would love to sit with you for a couple of hours and go through that book. So thanks.
Well, what an exceptional conversation with an exceptional person right here on the Newfoundland and Labrador Construction Association podcast. Day number 1, Women in Construction. And I can tell you, if this is the beginning, I can't wait for the day to unfold. Liz, an absolute pleasure to be in conversation with you. Your outlook on being vulnerable, continuous improvement, mentoring others, and then you just threw in there that you're a mom of 3 as well. All very impressive. Thank you for joining the podcast. Thank you for being part of the conversation.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much for the invite.
Thank you for tuning in to the Building Newfoundland and Labrador podcast, presented by the Newfoundland and Labrador Construction Association, produced by Gale Force Winds.